And unbelievably, Tash, he tops all internationally protected people, including the Obamas and the Clintons.
Whilst also lecturing us all about eco stuff. Hypocrisy that really stinks.
She might as well have dropped a red pin in the map and confirmed he might as well just torch the monarchy down if he does, after everything that Harry and Meghan have done.
And if she tried anything unprecise, I'd crush her the way an elephant crushes an ant.
What if the official security figure protecting Prince Harry was not merely inaccurate, but dramatically lower than the amount buried inside Canada's own files? And what if those files reveal that one private royal cost taxpayers more than presidents, intelligence chiefs, and internationally protected officials? The explosive trail begins with 2 pages that were never supposed to become the center of a royal controversy. Prince Harry's security in Canada reportedly cost taxpayers more than the protection provided to any other internationally protected person named in the released records. Not nearly the most, not somewhere close to the top, more than every person listed. This was not whispered by a palace source or invented inside some anti-Sussex newsroom. The information reportedly emerged from government documentation obtained from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police through Canada's access to information law. And those 2 pages contained a jaw-dropping list: former American presidents, relatives of a sitting American president, a former British prime minister, NATO and United Nations leaders, CIA figures, Israeli intelligence officials, and above every one of them stood the Duke of Sussex, despite holding no active diplomatic position, serving no government, and repeatedly insisting that royal life had been left behind. That contradiction is impossible to ignore. How does someone demand the freedom of a private citizen while attracting a public security bill greater than people carrying genuine international responsibilities? 3 figures now threaten to detonate the entire argument. One was published in 2021. Another was allegedly forced into public view this week. The third is the staggering difference between them, the amount that remained unseen, while the smaller figure settled comfortably into the public imagination. The first answer was not simply wrong. It was lower. And once that pattern becomes visible, the question is no longer whether somebody made an innocent mistake. The question becomes why every correction seems to move in the same deeply inconvenient direction. CBC pursued the records, meaning this was not some screaming tabloid chasing another Sussex scandal. Canada's publicly owned national broadcaster used access to information legislation because the government did not eagerly offer the details. The figures had to be pursued. The resistance itself now looks like part of the mystery, because if there was nothing uncomfortable hiding inside that total, why was obtaining 2 pages apparently such a battle? The crucial figure must be stated completely, because rounding is exactly how uncomfortable numbers lose their sting. The release cost was described as at least, language that does not establish a final ceiling but a minimum floor. That distinction changes everything. A security expense usually suggests official duty, national service, unavoidable danger, or state business. Yet taxpayers were reportedly funding protection connected to travel that included something resembling a courtship. Suddenly, the romantic image acquires a brutal financial shadow. Private choices guarded by another country's public money while the complete cost stayed buried beneath careful wording. $500,000 is not pocket change, particularly when the person receiving that protection insists on having stepped away from the institution that once justified extraordinary treatment. The itinerary itself reportedly included intensely personal activity, making the contrast even sharper. Was this protection attached to public service? Or was public money cushioning a private lifestyle still wrapped in the prestige of royalty? The comparison becomes devastating. Tony Blair appeared among officials and internationally significant individuals whose protection reportedly cost less. The Duke of Sussex alone represented approximately 1/10 of what Canada spent protecting more than 100 people during that period. One person, roughly 10%. That is the detail capable of turning irritation into outrage, because it exposes the enormous price of a status supposedly abandoned. Then came the number that shattered the accepted story. In 2021, the RCMP publicly placed the cost at $334,337. For 4 years, that figure became the answer everyone repeated. But the newly disclosed material reportedly showed a substantially higher total. The old number was not the answer, it was merely the number the public had been permitted to believe. And if government paperwork can suddenly expose a difference exceeding $200,000, What else remains hidden beyond those 2 pages? The missing amount was not some harmless rounding error buried beneath routine accounting. The real cost was reportedly more than 60% higher than the figure accepted for 4 years, leaving over $200,000 of taxpayer money visible in one record but absent from the earlier total. That discovery strikes directly at Harry's argument that institutions conceal and distort while he delivers the truth, because this time the paperwork does not rescue him, it exposes a bill larger than the public was originally shown. More troublingly, every dollar covered the period before his security arrangement changed, meaning this was the price when the system still said yes. Now, Harry is not simply requesting protection during visits to Britain. The larger prize is internationally protected status, a classification capable of following him across borders, transferring costs to governments, restoring prestige, and potentially keeping future invoices away from public scrutiny. That Canadian document suddenly looks like a preview of exactly what such status could deliver. Officials holding genuine international responsibilities receive institutional protection, while a private citizen can face public examination. Harry appears trapped between those two realities, demanding private freedom while pursuing official treatment. The comparison with the Princess of Japan, identified in the discussion as Mo, becomes brutal. Another royal departed, surrendered the privileges, and lived without expecting taxpayers worldwide to preserve a royal security structure. Harry and Meghan seemingly want the exit and the escort together. Tash then raises the political consequence. Every government watching Canada's backlash may now quietly reconsider what happens whenever the couple arrives. The contradiction becomes even more explosive when Meghan publicly reveals details capable of identifying the Costa Terra golf resort, its private beach, a nearby restaurant, and a Portuguese shop only minutes away. Nobody hacked the location. Nobody chased the family. The clues appeared through her own photographs, almost inviting paparazzi to discover what security arguments insist must remain protected. Yet no intrusive photographs of Meghan or the children in Portugal appeared. That absence creates an extraordinary suspicion. Harry needs visible intrusion to strengthen his security campaign, while Meghan benefits from attention and publicity. Privacy becomes valuable only when its alleged violation can be monetized, litigated, or transformed into proof. Amanda Patel's criticism then deepens the wound, but the collapse of sympathy becomes undeniable when Meghan Markle loses support from Charlene White and Chris Shipp, even if questions whether publishing recognizable locations amounts to invading their own privacy. Tom Bradby once sided with Prince Harry so completely that Prince William reportedly ended the relationship, but now the network itself appears unable to defend the contradiction. The Prince of Wales walked away years earlier. It finally seems to understand why. Meanwhile, King Charles receives a public invitation to the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham, creating pressure through newspapers instead of a private appeal. The event that once cost several million reportedly climbed beyond 30 million in Canada and may approach 60 million in Birmingham, while questions grow about expenses, security, luxury accommodation, and transparency. Dominic Reed has departed, and controversy followed Harry accepting the Pat Tillman Award. The warning becomes severe. Royal attendance could validate something critics believe has transformed into the Harry and Meghan Markle show. Then the legal damage returns. Journalists describe reputations scarred by allegations unsupported in court, while Harry is portrayed as stubbornly ignoring advice and even invoking Dorian Lawrence. At the same moment, household unity looks increasingly fragile. A woman challenges Meghan Markle to sue. Reports claim tension over author photographs, and Meghan stops wearing an engagement ring containing Princess Diana's diamonds. Was it accidental or a deliberate signal? 2 Canadian pages began this scandal, but they leave one terrifying question unanswered. How much has been spent since those records ended, and which government is still hiding the largest number?